Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning and hello everyone. This is Lori Smith and I'm glad to be back. I haven't been on Blog Talk Radio for quite a while. It's probably been a year since I've done a show, and with Barbara Ochoa. I did a show last year. And but prior to that, I haven't really been on Blog Talk Radio for about 3 years. I was just looking at the dates there. I finished the show that I titled One Child Abuse Survivor to Another Restoration 3 years ago, actually. And I've been busy for the last 3 years, and busy, but I'm a survivor of child abuse. I did 1,100 shows here on Blog Talk Radio since 2009, and really made huge progress in my healing journey doing this. So over the years, I've had like 52,227 shows listened to. Thank you, everybody who tuned in and listened to those shows and archive. And, I appreciate your time because it's been an incredible amount of work. What I've done is actually downloaded all of those shows and put them over on my website. It's a Born in Hell website that I just finished creating. It took me 3 months to do. And so I've been busy, but I'm a survivor of child abuse, and I decided to start doing this show again because this show was very important for my healing journey. I knew that at the time. And when I had finished doing these shows about 3 years ago, I was in a real comfortable place at that point. And really, it's not that I felt like, I'm just completely healed and I don't need to do any more work. What I really felt was that I was kind of done talking for a while. And so, I thought, I'll just end the show. And I was working over and doing some shows on Spreaker and Spreaker.com. So I had a show page there. But they changed their format and stuff. So I just sort of thought, I'll come back over to Blog Talk Radio because these shows were important for me. I know that what I was hoping was that somebody, even one person, would benefit from all those shows that I did, especially on One Child Abuse Survivor to Another, to just the regular shows that I did about 550 shows, One Child Abuse Survivor to Another, and they were hard to find there. There was no show information included with them, so people just scrolling through my hundreds page show page list really wouldn't know what those shows were about. So what I've done is put them on my website, which you can find here on my show page. And if you want to take a look, I've actually categorized them. I've put show topics and information, what the show is about, and so people can go. And if you really want to listen to those, you can find out what the actual topic was and see if it interests you. So yeah, this show, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a therapist, I don't have any certificates in those areas. I'm just like I said on all my shows, 1,100 shows that I did. I'm just a private person, private citizen, just doing I'm just on my healing journey. I've had a lot of time to think about the abuse that I suffered as a child. I've had a whole lifetime to think about it and the damage that it did to me, and that's why, back in 2009, I really began to reach out and started to talk publicly and openly on Blog Talk Radio and different places about the abuse. And then I realized that it was very helpful for my healing journey, so I thought maybe other survivors of child abuse would benefit from the information that I was sort of sharing there. So, and other people, so I've had lots of different types of people listening to my shows. I really appreciate everybody who's taken the time, like I said, to tune in. And so this show is just really an introduction show. What I want to do and what I thought about really and why I decided to go ahead and start doing these shows again is really for accountability for myself, because as a survivor of abuse, I still have a lot of issues. I've actually done a lot of healing work though. So I don't have the same degree of severity of some of these issues that I used to have, for instance, anger, rage, hatred, self-hatred, things like this. Self-worthlessness, things like that, hatred for life, things like that. But what I have, still going on is, in varying degrees, a sense of that I don't do a lot of self-care. And that's just because I grew up abused, and I wasn't shown how to take care of myself. I wasn't taken care of. And I didn't have any good role models to do that for me. And so to model that for me. So it's been a difficult road for me to try to remember to do these very important things to look to for self-care. And so what I thought we would do on this show, because it would be very helpful for me, and I just wanted to share it with anybody who wants to tune in and be a part of it, is do a daily show. And this is going to hold me accountable so that I have to get, I actually work from home. And I'll give you a little bit of background information. For the last couple of years, my husband, that's why my last name is Lorianne Smith. I also go by Lorianne Smith Tornerup. That's my author name. That's also my husband's name. But I do most of my work under Lorianne Smith, or just Laurie Smith. And my husband is still alive. He was diagnosed 2001, February 14th, Valentine's Day, 2001, terminally ill, with 2 to 5 years to live. Terminal illness, liver disease, end stage. Well, he's still here, and it's a miracle, really, that he is still here. He's been very sick over the years. While I was doing the Blog Talk radio shows here before, back in 2009, 10, 11, 12, right in there, he was. He had so many hospital visits. He had so many problems. He almost died a couple of times. And I would just continue to do these shows, and I was very busy at the time, working full time, out of the house. So I was always traveling at least close to an hour back and forth to get to work, plus doing these shows. I was exhausted. And when I stopped doing these shows, I took a bit of a break. And the last couple of years, I'm working from home because my husband's situation was very, very bad. About 2 years ago, he ended up in the hospital for 5.5 months. And at that time, I really needed to find something where I could work from home, because when he came home, it was no longer going to be a situation where I could leave him on his own, and I didn't want to have home health care people come in and look after him during the day while I was gone, because I just felt like we need to spend time together. He's terminally ill. He's dying. I mean, I could end up going before him. We all know how that works. But the issue is that I need to be here for him to help him out. It makes me happy to be able to do that. He's my husband. We've been together for 20 years. So, he's my friend. He's my best friend, really. And he's my husband, and I want to help him. He's helped me. He's helped me get through a lot of things. He helps me on a daily basis just by being here for me. He's my support system, and I want to be that support system for him too. And so 2 years ago, I started working from home. But the real problem with working from home is that what it's caused me to do is I don't get up anymore at any given time. I don't have to start work that early, and so I just kind of get up whenever. I don't do any self-care. I don't do any meditation. I do work from home, so I'm working 8 hours a day. Still, even though I'm working from home, I'm actually logged in and working for 8 hours per day. So I'm still working full time, but it's from home. And so I find that I'm just missing a lot of self-care stuff, not just physically, but spiritually, emotionally, meditation, this type of thing, because all I'm doing is concentrating on work and sitting in front of my computer and trying to help my husband. And so I haven't done very much work on my healing journey for quite a while. Haven't done any real, a little bit here and there, but not much. And I thought this would be a great show for me to do, to get me up and get me accountable for what I'm doing, working towards and progressing further in my healing journey. And so, because I have, let's say I've gotten stuck in a certain area of my healing journey, but I haven't made a lot of progress. And so I'm sort of where I was when I left off. So that's why I thought this show would be very good for me to do, and I'm hoping that people will get something out of this. Survivors of, if you're a survivor out there, first of all, you just have to never give up, and just keep looking for what works for you. What works for me may not work for you. What works for you may not work for me. We're all different. We've all been through different things, and yet we share things in common, So it's a horrific situation for survivors out here, and I don't sugarcoat it, as you can tell on all my shows. I always put a graphic, explicit warning on most of everything that I do with dealing with child abuse, except for this show here today, because we're not going to be talking about anything that serious. But you have to be careful so that you're not triggered, and that you're in a safe enough place to do this type of work. I definitely am. I'm not going to self-injure. I'm not going to go out and try to attempt suicide. I'm actually really stable. So, in that area. Now, back in when I was 41, turning 42, back in 2007, I was not very stable, and I was contemplating suicide. And so that's what clued me in that that I seriously needed to get help because I had been contemplating my suicide for years, you know. And at that point, I was actually planning on following through with it. That's the closest I've ever gotten to actually following through with my plans to commit suicide. So, I've been there. I've been there. I've been in that dark place. I've been in that horrible place. You know, that pit of despair, that pit of hell. Really, that's why I called my website "Born in Hell," and because I've been, doing some writing and stuff over through the years. I wrote 3 books, and writing poems and writing different things. And I had written that I was born in hell. And I'm glad that I didn't stay there. I got out of that pit. And so I know what it's like, but I also know what it's like to be there. See, I haven't forgotten, right? So I just want to be an encouragement also for other people out here, for survivors of abuse, to get help, whatever it is, whether it's counselor or therapist, whether it's anonymous help. That's what I did. I went anonymous, and I also had a couple of friends help me out who are therapists, but they're in Australia, so they did work with me, which over the phone, which was really a form of therapy, but it's just that I just didn't trust traditional therapists and counselors, right? So it's whatever works for you. Just reach out and get some help. It's so important, right? And so what I thought the show would be good for me to do, since I'm working from home and I'm not really doing any kind of self-care stuff, I'm not getting any exercise, I smoke, I still smoke, and that's been an issue for me. I smoke, and I'm sure it's abuse-related because I was abused horrifically as a child. I smoke, and I'm not sure what the root of it is, to be honest with you, and I'd like to get to the bottom of it. It might be that I can't allow myself to feel the feelings that I need to feel from the abuse. That's probably, I was thinking about that the other day because I've been doing a lot of work on my website. You can actually look it up, Born in Hell, but it's actually under author Lorianne Smith -tornerup.weebly.com. Let me make sure that's the right one because I don't want to give you the wrong address here. But I did title the website Born in Hell. And I just show my book, my show page. My first page shows my book covers. But this is not a website to promote my books. It's really, I'm just giving away a lot of free information because I don't believe in charge. The only reason I actually put money on those books is because the money that I make for those books I actually donate to not-for-profits that work to stop and prevent child abuse. So I don't want the money for those books. That's what I said years ago, and that's what I still say. I don't sell very many books. That's okay. I don't care. This was my inner children screaming to be heard, because my abusers walked free from what they did to me. My parents walked free. I mean, they were busted and arrested on child abuse charges. When I was young, because my dad had beaten up my brother, and the authorities got involved. So there was a child protection services were around, but the thing is my parents didn't do any time. They weren't convicted. They were charged with child abuse charges, and they were told that if they didn't meet these requirements, we were going to be removed from the home. And they didn't remove us from the home because this was back in 1967, and they didn't really care if you beat on your children back in them days. Even today, they don't remove children where they need to. Children are dying and ending up in body bags, right? So, but I did put my covers here in my books because I want people to know that I've put a lot of work into this, and it's not just for me, even though a lot of it I've done is the fact that it has helped me to just tell the truth about what happened to me as a child. It was for my siblings as well, and also for my inner children. I have many inner children, and these inner children that were me at the time of the abuse, that just got stuck where they were, where the trauma happened. And I've had to work incredibly hard to make any peace from this abuse that I suffered as a child, because it was restitution, right? So I had to learn how to change the way that I thought about things. There could never be child abuse. You can't just put a Band-Aid on it. When somebody abuses you, I mean, any kind of abuse, we're talking domestic violence, we're talking anything. When people are hurt, it's this type of hurt, this type of damage. It's not like you can just put a Band-Aid on it and say, oh, there you go, you're all better now, that'll heal up. This is emotional damage, this is psychological damage, this is physical damage. I have a lot of physical damage to my body because of the abuse as well. But the stuff that really hurts because of physical damage, I mean, my body's going to break down eventually anyway. The stuff that's been killing me from the beginning is the fact that my parents didn't care. That's really what it comes down to. My parents did not care about us at all. They didn't love us. They didn't want us, and they didn't care if they hurt us. And in the end, when I was 30 years old, my mom, just before I moved up to Canada, my mom dropped the bomb that she never wanted any of us. None of my siblings. She didn't want any of us. I thought it was just me because she used to tell me that all the time. She didn't want me. But what it was is she didn't want anybody. She didn't want any children. She didn't love any of us. So all of my siblings suffered in this, and that's why I went public. And I thought, I'm just going to tell the truth, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it and make it sound, oh, it wasn't that bad. That's what a lot of survivors like to do. Minimize our story, minimize our pain, right? But I think the reason that I smoke is because I'm pretty sure that I'm holding on to that as a crutch because I can't allow myself to feel these feelings that I need to feel because I don't have the time to do it. I don't have the time to allow myself to sit with my inner children at these points of wounding, which, you can kind of look into that with John Bradshaw's work especially, and other people's work, but his especially in The Homecoming and Healing the Shame That Binds You. So those two books, I still have those books. I haven't done any work in them for a long time, since I was here before on Blog Talk Radio. But the issue is that there's a lot of woundedness that I need to still grieve, and I need to allow myself to cry. I thought about it because I did 26 hours worth of videos on my website called Born in Hell Videos. And if you go to my website, it's author Lori Ann Smith -tornerup.weebly.com. You can see there's a Born in Hell main page on the very left-hand side. Then there's an About page. Born in Hell videos. I did almost 26 hours worth of videos, and I've got all kinds of written information there too, and pictures and photos. There's an audio blog with all of my Blog Talk Radio shows there, and listed below it. If you click on audio blog or just hover over audio blog, you can see there's all the listing of all the shows and the topic information in order, so that if you wanted to go and listen to all the stuff I was talking about, rage and talking about physical abuse or talking about child sexual abuse or whatever, it's all there, it's all titled and stuff. And I have about 100 more to put in there and I'll be done. It's taken me 3 months to do this website in my spare time. It's been an incredible amount of work. I did a photo section and to put blurbs in there as well, just written information. It's graphic. This website's graphic. I put my poems there because my poems, I think people should, those were written mainly from my inner children. Some of them from my very young inner children, and some of them from my older inner children. But those are my inner child poems, and I just titled it Poems, and I've got writing there. And you can contact me if you want to as well. So that's author Lori Ann Smith, LauriAnnSmith -Tornerup, TORNERUP.weebly.com. And that's my website I just started about 3 months ago. This has been very healing for me to do because I've been able to put everything sort of in one place. I'm going to put all my stuff here. And so I realized, that I have work to do. I really do. I have not been doing any self-care. I haven't been getting any exercise whatsoever, walking. I haven't been doing any real breathing work. I haven't done any, which I need to do. I haven't done any meditation. I haven't done much, but sit around and kind of, just work and hang out and try to get through the day as best as I can, and haven't done really much work to try to help myself. So what I thought this show would be really cool to do for me, which hopefully will help you, would be to do like a morning reflection, because this show will be doing these in the morning, where we could talk about like our healing journey and any particular things that we need to work on. Like, that's what I'm going to talk about, my progress, anything that I need to work on. How am I feeling? Just like a morning reflection, a morning checklist, How am I doing? How am I feeling? What do I need to work on? Because I do recognize that through, periodically throughout as the weeks roll on in my life, that I'll be sitting around thinking, I really need to work on that. I'll have memories come back. I actually had some memories resurface recently that I had thought about before, but they just got kind of shoved back down there, and I didn't do anything with them because it's from the child sexual abuse, and I just don't want to be dealing with that. See, even as a survivor, I mean, many times survivors, that's what I did, is I described it as just putting it all in a drawer, all the abuse, all the child physical abuse, the verbal, emotional, psychological abuse, child sexual abuse, the neglect, just the whole entire thing. I put it in a drawer, and I shut the drawer, and I turned the key, locked it up, and put the key away. That was when I was growing up, because I needed to be able to survive more abuse. And so that's, a lot of that stuff is still in the drawer, and I'm working on slowly getting it out and allowing it to come out and allowing it and working with it. So most of it I've done. I think there's some things that I do still need to work on, though. I thought we could also talk about positive reinforcement, what we're doing right in our daily walk instead of looking down on ourselves, I don't think it's really all that, it's important to be honest with ourselves. So, yeah, we don't want to be, I'm real lenient with myself, and it's real easy for me to say, it's okay that I smoke and I don't exercise and I've put on about 20 pounds and I'm not getting any younger, so, but it's okay that I don't look after myself, because I've been through so much, right? I'm very lenient on myself because I was treated so harshly as a child. You can go, if you want to watch my videos, I talk really graphically about the abuse, where I didn't do so much of that here on Blog Talk Radio. I did a little bit of it here on Blog Talk Radio over the years, but most, I kind of tried to keep it pretty non-graphic. My videos are on my website, and they are graphic, and there's a warning put on them. But if you do feel strong enough to actually watch them without being triggered, which I put trigger warnings on everything pretty much, and that it's graphic and explicit, I just tell it like it is on those videos, because those are my 26 hours worth of videos that I did, and I just tell people exactly what it was like for me. It was horrific, as abuse is horrific for all of us, right? And so, I am a little too lenient on myself as an adult, and I need to take some accountability if I want to look after myself and I want to be do the last part of my journey here. I'm 50 years old. I'm going to be turning 51 this year, and if I want to, have a good, healthy next however many years that I have, whether it's one or less, or one or more, however many years that I'm going to be here, because we don't know these things, right? Then I need to do something towards it. I can't just sit around and think that it's just going to happen on its own. And that's why I wanted to do these shows. So we'll do it. I thought I'd do a morning reflection, right? Positive reinforcement. Just what are we doing right in our daily walk? Looking at the positives and the progress that we've made instead of just looking at the negative thoughts. I'm not going to sit here and run myself down for not doing this and not doing that. I just need to get on the ball and pick the ball back up and run with it and keep going, right? I sort of put the ball down and just left it laying there, right? So I need to pick the ball back up and be accountable and do some work here. Self-care, what am I doing physically, spiritually, emotionally to care for? What are we doing? Like, what am I doing physically to care for myself, spiritually, emotionally, And what can I do to help myself, even further? And in those areas, physically, spiritually, emotionally, right? And with the time that I have, people are normally very busy. Most of us are busy. Coping mechanisms, how am I coping? What am I using to cope, And then I thought we'd finish it off with a meditation for the day. Like some sort of I'm a Christian. I don't push my Christianity on anybody. People can listen to what I'm talking about there if you want to. My dad was a Christian who used to beat on the family, raped my mother in front of me, beat on his wife, beat on my brothers, beat on me, beat me in the face with a belt buckle, actually trashed my ribs, cracked and fractured my ribs, and separated my ribs with his fists, beating me with a belt in the face when I was growing up. My dad's Christian, right? So Christianity, I never really trusted it, but I love Jesus, But the thing is I'm a Christian, and but I don't push that on anybody, because survivors of abuse really have many times problems with that. So I'm going to leave that out of this, and we can meditate for the day, do a prayer to our Creator, our higher power, and we can start our day out like that. We can strengthen us, to energize us, to help us manage. What can we do to help manage our daily walk, right? So I thought we'd look at some awesome, quotes and some awesome, meditations and things like that might help us get through the day. So that's what I thought this show would be about. It's the next show page is actually titled a little bit better. It says, join me for a walk to healing, to wholeness, to learning how to care for ourselves as well as others. I'm a survivor of child abuse, child sexual abuse, neglect, and did not learn how to care for myself, how to cope, or how to change the learned toxic behaviors I was taught while growing up abused from birth. I had to begin learning all these very important pieces to living a healthy lifestyle after I began my healing journey. So I've been on my healing journey since May 22nd, 2007. There are many times that I forget to do the things I need to do to care, like to self-care, to nurture, to cope on a daily basis. So join me for a quick chat in the morning as I share with you what I'm using and working on for my own healing journey. What works for me may not work for you, but I'll share resources and information that you can take a look at, see if any of the information might be useful for you. Whatever you do, do not give up. Keep reaching out, keep looking for that help, that hope, and stay alive. Win this fight with me. Walk with me toward complete and total restoration. Do I believe we can be completely restored? Actually, that's a goal to work toward. I don't know if it's ever possible. I talk about this a lot of my on everything that I do. The fact that the damage was done, so I can't go back and change what happened to me, right? So, but we can walk towards it. Doesn't mean it's going to be perfect, and it doesn't mean that it's ever going to be complete restoration, because the damage was done. But I'm willing to give it a try to walk towards it instead of just leaving off here and saying good enough. I know that I can do better, and I know that I can take care of myself better. And a lot of the reasons I don't take care of myself is because my parents didn't take care of me. They actually tried to kill me. So that's a lot of the reason I don't look after myself. Part of me still deals with the self-loathing. Part of me still deals with the feelings of that I don't count, I don't matter. I was just this worthless, worthless, rotten, kid that needed to be beat on. Part of me is still that child, right? Because that's how I was treated my whole entire life by my parents until pretty well I got away from them. Even as an adult, they were still treating me horrible. So a part of me says, I don't need to work on this stuff because I don't count, I don't matter, and I'm just going to die anyway. And when I do die, I'll be really happy. The other part of me says, no, you deserve so much better. You did. So I have to do a lot of work with my inner children to go in and say, you did not deserve that abuse. You did nothing at all to deserve that. No one does, right? Here's an interesting Quilt Square meditation to heal self-blame from irvingstudios.com. It was not your fault. You're not to blame. You were only a child. You were innocent. You were little. You can be proud of surviving. Let go of shame and self-blame. You may have felt responsible as a means of self-protection and gaining some feeling of control. You can forgive yourself. You can appreciate you did the best you could against insurmountable odds. Now, isn't that the truth? Isn't that just the truth? It wasn't our fault. We're not to blame. But what we do with our adult lives, after we realize that it's not our fault, that what the abuse created, and what the abuse did to me was not my fault. But after I realized that, then I need to work on being an adult and taking care of myself. I can't expect somebody else to do it for me. I can't expect that just because I was abused as a child, now somebody's going to take over and look after me. No, it's not going to happen. I'm going to have to do it, right? And so this has been an incredibly hard journey, and I know it is for me, so I know it is for you, and for anybody out there who's been abused in any way. Terrific. So it says, we can appreciate that we did the best we could under the circumstances, right? Against insurmountable odds, he says. This is irvingstudios.com. You can go to their website and then look under, it's a Quilt Square meditations and whatnot there, and they have music and everything. You can listen to it, and meditations and stuff, really, really great stuff. So this is the show that we'll do. I don't know, I'm going to try to be here, I don't know if it'll be 15 minutes a day or 30, I really think 30 is better because, it's just, but we'll see. Sometimes maybe if it's a quick chat, maybe we'll just do 15 minutes, and otherwise I'll do 30-minute shows. And it is daily, except for the weekends, which I'm going to do a survivor check-in videos, which I'll put on my website, my Born in Hell website. And do some video work on the weekend, just little short videos, a survivor weekend checkup, like check-in. See how we're doing on the weekend. I just want to be an encouragement for people out there. do not give up. Do not ever give up. I had people tell me that years ago, and I'm so glad that because it made a huge difference in my, to me. I'm telling you, do not give up. People say, does it get better? It absolutely does, but I've done a lot of work to make it get better. And does it mean that my life is perfect? No, because there's no perfect situation. But what it is I know that I found my strength, to keep going, and I found some peace, and I found love, I found care, but I just need to work on caring now, doing some self-care. So thanks everybody for being here. I appreciate it, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Take good care. Bye-bye.